This is After the Final Rose with Dante and Alana, a siblings podcast talking everything Bachelor and Bachelorette.
How are we doing? And welcome to another episode of After the Final Rose. It's been a couple weeks, but there is a lot to talk about, especially with this episode. We're at Hometowns, 1 week left, at least at the end of the episode, we have 1 week left till the finale. And there's a lot to talk about, but going into this hometown, it's just three guys. We have Justin, Blake, and Greg. I don't know how I forgot their names.
Not
We're
my
down to
final
three guys.
prediction.
Yeah. Oh, we obviously didn't get to talk about it last week, so we didn't get a show out, but Michael ended up leaving because of his son. You predicted that, but that was sad. I felt bad.
Yeah, it was.
Clearly they had a connection together.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we're missing out on something possible with those two.
Yeah, for sure. I think I said that I thought hometowns it would be Greg, Blake, Michael. No, Mike, not Michael with the kid, and then Andrew. And obviously I only had two of those four. Was not expecting Justin, and we didn't even end up having four. We only had three hometowns, which was different. So the whole dynamic is kind of switching.
Yeah, I don't even remember who I had in my final four. I know I had Greg. I want to say I don't think I had Andrew. I was still shocked though that Andrew was sent home.
Yeah,
I just wasn't expecting it. Especially watching that episode, you saw that their connection was very strong. I was just not expecting him to be sent home.
Nowhere.
Also, something that obviously we didn't get to talk about was Men Tell All. I mean, it wasn't that eventful. I think we just dove a little bit deeper into Michael leaving, him getting his closure with Katie. He said he's still open if Katie's ever available again. And I think, me personally, I'm rooting for him to be the next Bachelor. I think people will question it kind of with the kid, and if he can't be on the Bachelorette, how's he going to be the Bachelor? Managing that. But I think, maybe if he was the man for the job, they would somehow get the kid on set at least like 3 or 4 times or something.
They can make it happen.
Yeah.
He can so make it happen.
And I'm rooting for Michael, especially since he's older. He knows what he wants. And his story is amazing.
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely like to see him. I have to be honest, I did not finish. I don't know why, but the guys' Men Tell All is always so much harder to watch than the girls. And I don't know if it's because the girls always have more drama and the guys' drama is just stupid petty drama.
Yeah.
I just could not finish it and sit through it, and it just all seemed very staged. So I was kind of happy to take a break and come back to some real stuff going on this week.
Yeah, something I want to add before we move forward into the hometowns is, I don't know if you saw the Connor kissing the random girl in the audience. That felt very it felt very staged, and it also kind of tells you that Connor ends up with nobody in paradise, because obviously that was recorded, I'm sure, 2 weeks ago.
True, very true.
Which is kind of, it doesn't suck, but going in, he's not going to end up with anybody.
Yeah, that's fair. I did not think of that point. Yeah, I didn't watch it, but I saw it on all over social media, and how everyone said it was weird and very staged.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going into this week. Michael left. We're down to the final 3. Like I said, Blake, Justin, and Greg. And as you know, in the quarantine, Bachelor hometowns, the family comes to them, and the guys, they create their own hometowns.
I hate it.
Yeah, we'll get into it a little bit further, but it's just, I don't know. It's not cringy. It's just getting old, I guess.
I think it's just weird because we're so used to them taking them home and doing more, where all 3 of these dates, it was they didn't even know what else to do with them, and it was weird.
Yeah, I would love to know, and we may find out this as we go, but what they're doing for Michelle season in terms of hometowns. And I know they're like I from what I've heard that Michelle is in multiple locations for
Mm,
her taping. So I assume they're gonna move around a little bit, which is good. So I'll be curious to see if they go to actual homes for hometown.
yeah.
But so with Blake, he set up like this little Canadian day, very similar to what's her name from Matt's season, Serena. It was
Mm,
literally like the same thing,
yes, yes, Serena P.
other than the syrup shots. It was pretty much the same thing. They played
Yeah,
hockey. I don't know. They talked about Canada, but I don't know. It's you see a connection between those two continuing to grow.
yeah,
And so when they move on to uh, meeting with Blake's family, they met with Blake's mom, sister, and I think her sister's either husband or boyfriend. They didn't really talk about it that much.
okay.
Um, but you could tell. I mean, the sister was asking some hard hitting questions to Blake, kind of
Yeah,
like, I mean, kind of what Katie addressed the first day he showed up was, you kind of fell for Claire, and then you fell for Tasha, and
right.
then you fell for Katie. But he addressed that and said, this time's kind of different. He feels like Katie is the one that, they're just the same person.
Yeah. I know, I'm like, it's kind of hard because obviously, like, I root for him because it would suck if like he literally again doesn't get chosen and now he's been through 3 bachelorettes. Like that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And like I like Blake. Nothing negative to say about him.
Hmm.
But I still am not like quite sure which just because of how everything ends in this episode, like how I feel
Hmm.
about her ending up with Blake. But I definitely do think that since he came on, like he's for sure been a front runner and very obvious that the two of them like click really well.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, they do click well, and they also like their personalities are very similar. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
like the same person, just opposite gender, especially with their I don't know, like their sexuality in terms of like expressing it.
Yeah,
They're
they
like the
have the
same
same
person.
interests too. Like I've seen, like not that this means anything, but a lot of people think that they end up together because they both have like since COVID or since the show started have posted like a shit ton of cat videos and pictures and
Hmm.
stuff. Like I guess Blake's
Yeah.
like all over about his cat. So like they do have very similar things in
Hmm.
common and interests.
Yeah.
I could see them
I mean,
working out like long term. If out of all the three to like end up with and it stay like it work out, I would see it with
yeah.
him.
Yeah. I don't even think they talked about it. I think Blake brought it up, but like Blake was in another country.
Yeah. No,
Like,
they did because she was like, she said that she would possibly move to Canada for him, which we know that she's just moved. She's moving to San Francisco right now. So which makes
yeah.
me wonder, like, whoever she chose, if she ends up with any of them, she got one of them to move because none of them are from San Francisco.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Um, so I'd be very curious. I mean, we do see a lot of bachelorettes kind of move towards the big cities right after,
Yeah.
just because there's so many marketing opportunities, advertisement sponsors, stuff like
Mhm.
that. That I mean, you got to be close if you want to make big money. So that, I mean, that I'm sure that has something to do with it.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, we trying to remember kind of what else happened during that hometown, sort of say. I don't think much. I just think we saw the connection grow, and the mom said to Blake like how much she likes Katie, and she
Mhm.
could see them two together, and how much it does seem like Blake is really interested in her.
Yeah, I think he is, but I do think he's still like holding back because obviously like he's still not ready to say that he loves her or
Hmm.
tell her, how he's feeling. Which could be like, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the reason why he doesn't move forward, is that, he's just having a hard time. And it could be because like he came on later, like we've seen that with other people. And I think that was like the
Yeah.
excuse with Tasha, why Tasha didn't pick him, was she was like, I just felt like we didn't have as much time.
Yeah.
Because he like couldn't get over Claire.
hmm I mean, they really haven't had much time together. And like continuing to think about it, like he had like one group date, one
Yeah.
one-on-one, a hometown,
Yeah, it's kind of,
I think another date, and like that's it.
yeah.
But I mean, like we keep saying, they're very similar with their interests, their likings,
Yeah, so I
and
mean,
you can tell there's been a connection.
yeah, I mean, look at Claire and Dale, they're still together and they maybe spent full 2
Yeah.
weeks together.
Literally.
So you never
Literally.
know.
Yeah.
But moving on to Justin, he had the second hometown and it was kind of, I felt really bad. It was very uncomfortable. And I think I may have missed a part of this. So correct me if I'm wrong, but did his parents, he got on the phone with his parents and they weren't coming because they didn't approve of it, or, okay.
Yeah, they felt it was just I don't think they really trusted in the process. They talked about on the phone how
Okay.
they trusted in Justin, but the process just seemed rushed and unethical. And I mean, Justin had to live with that. You could tell he was a little defeated because he talked about like
He was
I
so
needed to see
disappointed.
Katie with my family because
Yes.
that's a huge part of our future.
No,
And
for sure.
I mean, the poor guy. I mean, he had to make do of what was get the cards that were dealt to him, and he had two of his friends, seemed like good guys, um, be there to support him and ask Katie the questions.
Yeah, I mean, I do think like if my best friends had to meet my future husband, like I would feel like I could trust their opinion because they do
hmm
know me when it comes to like relationships and stuff like that. So I do think that like it was good that he had them, but at the end of the day, like your parents' opinion, if he's as close with his parents as he says he is, like it means the
Yeah.
world. And I really think he was disappointed, and for sure defeated. And I also just felt bad, like it's such an awkward thing to tell her. And I was actually surprised he didn't really say why they didn't come. He just said
hmm
they weren't coming, which I think is kind of like, if I was her and I knew that like they didn't come because they chose not to, like I would kind of question it a little bit and feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Where it's different if like, oh, they can't come because of work or because of COVID, or they don't feel comfortable with COVID restrictions, but like he didn't really tell her the real reason, which is,
hmm
I don't know. Maybe she
And
kind of
you ask yourself, I mean, can he get down on one knee, and would she pick him not meeting
right.
his parents and family? And I don't know, seeing that possible future in that moment, meeting his family.
Right, because like when you marry into a family, like that is your future. I mean, like whether you like them or not, those are your parents that you have like
hmm
accepted in, and they're parents that like become, I don't know how to explain it. It's just like that's the thing when it comes to marriage. And yeah, I just think it's really hard for someone, especially her who like doesn't have a father present because he passed away, and like, her family life was kind of rough growing up. And so I think that like for her, that's very important. So I just was like surprised by the whole thing. But I mean, you could tell his friends really loved her and Justin together. I still just like don't see the connection with them like I do with Blake and Greg. It's just like,
Yeah.
I still don't know why he's here.
Yeah. I think he's I don't know. I think he's always kind of just been like a rock, and he's just been consistent
Yeah.
in terms of like, I don't know, he hasn't had anything bad go on with him. It's just kind of all been good, but not like amazing, like kind of like we've seen with Greg and Blake. So I think he's just been a constant, and I don't know, they've connected. I think they mix well, but also during the date, we've talked about this multiple times this season, but just like Katie being like them awkward on dates, and I felt awkward for them because they were awkward on their
Mhm.
carriage ride. We didn't get to talk about that, but
Yeah.
they like went through like Baltimore and they went on a carriage ride and it just felt uncomfortable. It felt like things were
Yeah.
forced. Like they were
Yep.
like, haha, the view, the water of
Yeah.
Baltimore.
Yep. No, for sure. It was really weird. Like, I get that it's kind of an odd situation because obviously it's not really Baltimore and it's like
Yeah.
you have to like make do with it. But if you're truly like meant to, not even meant to be together, if you truly have a connection, it should be very easy to be in
Hmm.
a situation like that. Like, I could truly go, on a date that is so awkward like that with Brendan and still be able to like have conversation and make the
Yeah.
most of it, where I don't think they did.
Yeah. And I always wonder with like dates like these, like Cammy brought up, like with Justin, like how close is he really to Baltimore that that's like your everyday life? And like I was
Yeah.
wondering that with like Greg, like the whole New York City thing. Like if I were to do that with a hometown, like I wouldn't act like we were in New York City.
Right, you would do
So that's just something that kind of
Syracuse.
popped up that I was curious about.
Yeah. I mean, also it could be one of those things where like you grow up in, maybe he grew up in New Jersey and then towards the end of his life, like I don't know. It'd be like me doing Nashville instead of Syracuse kind of thing.
Yeah,
As
it
a
could be.
hometown. But yeah, it's all weird. I wish that like we could, I can't wait to get back to like actually going to their hometowns. Like that was fun
Hmm.
and you would like see the high school that they went to,
Yeah.
or like I don't know. It just made it made it all come together.
Hmm. And I think that's a huge part also because one, you do get to usually you meet more family.
Yeah.
Like
Oh
it'll
yeah.
be big dinners or big backyard parties where they meet everybody and you
Right.
actually get to see a real view of like what could possibly come.
Yeah.
But finishing off that date, they didn't. I mean, I don't even think we didn't even see it with Blake. Well, that's another story to talk about that Blake really wanted to say he loved Katie, didn't get to say it, kind of chickened out. And then Justin, I think you could tell he was feeling it, but he didn't say I love you either.
I feel like that's like a thing recently. Like over the past few years, I feel like we used to see it a lot. And that was like the
Mhm.
breaking point where like if they didn't say it, they were going home. Like, and now I feel like less and less contestants say it at hometowns.
Yeah, and I wonder if with like the quarantine or like COVID seasons, like I don't know timetables, but like is it more rushed these seasons in
Right.
terms of how long they actually get out the limo to
That's true.
hometowns that maybe like you haven't developed those feelings yet.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But
So yeah,
yeah,
you lead,
all
you
you
can lead. Okay. Well, Greg, I think took up probably the last hour and a half, no, maybe
literally.
hour of the show. It was just didn't end. But so we got to see, Greg's hometown, which was Jersey, New York
Hmm.
City-esque. And it was like they wanted to do like a little carnival scene, but they had like a blow up mechanical surfboard, like they were supposed to be near the beach, near Jersey. And then I
I
guess
was
they
wondering,
go,
do people even surf on those beaches? Like we don't
mm,
get
no, I don't.
waves on the East Coast. At least not
Yeah,
here.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure people do, but it's like not a thing like it is in California.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I did really love this moment where so obviously on Katie and Greg's first one-on-one, she took him fishing and camping and said, this was
Hmm.
something that her dad connected and bonded over, and she wanted to introduce it to him. So he did the same with introducing basketball to her and saying that like this was, him and his dad's thing, which I think she appreciated and felt, like he was tying, she opened up so much to him, and I don't think he's
Yeah.
really opened up much to her about his dad.
Yeah.
And so we see that, and then I the rain thing was like, was that fake?
Yeah, it was fake.
Okay, I thought
I was
so,
wondering where it
because
was coming from.
yeah, so was I, and then I thought maybe it was real until they went over to the back to the basketball court or tennis courts and it was completely dry. So I was
Yeah.
really confused, but
Well, it had to do with if you remember back to
no,
the
I
other
did.
day.
I do. I just like couldn't tell if it was real or fake because it looked real this
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I was confused like where it was coming from. If they had something in the tree that was
Right.
spraying it or a sprinkle system, because it looked like authentic.
Yeah, it did. So that's why I was like, wait, I'm pretty sure this is fake, but it doesn't look it.
Mhm.
But Greg tells Katie she's gonna meet his mom, his best friend, and his older brother.
Mhm.
And then we learn that Greg also has two sisters
Two
that
sisters, yeah.
couldn't make it, which I thought was really sweet. They did like a video that they filmed, and all the nieces and nephews like told Greg that they loved and they missed him, and it was nice because it showed Katie he's truly loved by his family. You can tell they all adore him.
Mhm.
And they all really strive to see him happy. And that's where it kind of took a turn because you could tell that like he was very happy and very in love, and you could tell his family could see it, and it was like
Mhm.
everyone could see it. And he was just opening up more and more. Like I feel like he's been very silent to everyone else, like he doesn't talk about his relationship, but to her he's open. And like to see him now tell his whole family and his best friend like that he's in
Mhm.
love, that he's she's the one he's going to marry, it's going to be them at the end, like he was very confident.
Mhm.
And
It
yeah,
really
it was.
reminded me of Rachel's hometown from Matt's season because she was saying like the exact same things that
Yeah.
Greg was saying, that she was so confident it was her. She knew it was
Yeah.
them in the end. And that's where I was thinking, well, maybe like, is this going to be Greg? Like, will they just walk away together?
Yeah.
'Cause he was speaking so highly of her. And then we see when she's talking to his mom, she's without like really saying it's him, she was saying it was him,
Yeah. And
like
like
in the end.
she told him like he was definitely, she was like, I don't even think I'm supposed to say this, but he's like definitely gonna be here next week, which is weird because like you don't really see that. And then you could tell that his mom and him and his brother were really trying to get it out of her if she loved him or not. And
Mhm.
she did stick her ground with every parent or every
Yeah.
friend that like I'm not gonna tell the guy till the end, which is so fair. And like I appreciate, like we all
Yeah.
hated to see it with JoJo
I was gonna say,
and
I think everybody
Lauren.
learned their lesson from Ben Higgins season.
Yes, and that was really hard to watch. So like I do get it. Um but it also was very hard to see Greg tell her he loved her and then for her to have no response but to smile. And then he
Yeah.
literally says, "What?" And she says, "I just love looking at you." And it was literally reminding
Yes.
me of like saying I love you to someone and then being like, "Thank you." Like it was
Yeah.
weird.
Well, usually, a lot of people they don't say it back right away just because, they don't want it to be Ben Higgins. But like usually they'll just go in for the kiss,
Right,
end the
or they hint
conversation.
at it, like, "I'm really falling in love with you." Like, they won't say
Yeah.
it, but they hint at it. Like, there was nothing from her.
Yeah. It was I didn't even it happened so quick that like I didn't think it was gonna be such a big deal.
I
But
know.
obviously it comes to be a huge deal with Greg.
Yeah.
And right then and there, his momentum switched, his like
Oh,
light
yeah.
switch like turned off and he completely changed. And I was starting to worry that, we were gonna see like a temper with him.
Yeah.
And it was gonna get ugly. I mean, he remained calm. He was like talking to Katie like you didn't tell me anything. I told you I loved you. I gave you my all, and you just stood there.
Which I do think is really hard because in the beginning, I was like, "Okay, I do like, yes, he's right." She didn't give him anything. She didn't even give him like I mean, she really just smiled at him and then like questioned it But I do think like it got to a point when he was like telling her, like it just became like this whole, like I said to Brendan when I was watching, I was like, I can't tell if he's like truly this passionate about her or if this is like him putting on an act, because it just
That's a
seemed
point
like
I was gonna bring up.
overly dramatized. Like, if you really want to be with someone, are you gonna just walk out and like literally say, I'm so effing confused and leave? And like not even like hug her goodbye, not
Mhm.
say, I need space anytime. Like he just left. And then he did it again when she chased after him. So it kind of just
Yeah.
felt like he was trying to pitch a plot so people felt bad for him, but
Yeah.
I don't know if it was taken that way by the audience.
Oh no, not at all. I said it right when everything was starting to go down. I still feel it now. Everything felt like he had an agenda in a way.
Mhm.
I just feel it from like in a way like my own experience that the things he was saying and he wasn't letting up means there was an end goal that like he was gonna
Yes.
win in the end. That maybe not winning was like his winning would be with Katie,
Yeah.
but like being on the winning side of this argument, and that I don't know, is he pitching to be a bachelor or
Right.
what? Like I don't know. It felt drawn. It just felt
It was
like
very drawn out.
it was very drawn out.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
we
And
saw it the next day when they went to meet. Like he was saying all the same things he was saying the night before. And then Katie was like, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, I'm telling you
yeah,
everything.
like I can't tell you.
I
Yeah.
feel, and then like she was like, like, what do I need to say? Like, you're not changing, like your mind. You're not
Right. Like she obviously said she wasn't gonna say I love you. So like you keep begging for something that you're not gonna get. So it's like,
Mhm.
what else? Like honestly, you get to a point where it's like I get he was like, if I don't hear I love you, I'm leaving. But at the
Mhm.
same time, it's like you kind of, I mean, you signed up for this. You had to know that like there
Exactly.
was a chance that like you weren't going to get the response right away when there are other guys there. Like you're not the only one left.
Hmm. And like you just said, like you know what you were getting yourself into. I mean, I
Right.
guess like has she given him so many signals that like he is the one, kind of, but like you're also like she's dating two other guys, so like
Right. And
you don't know how it's gonna go.
I also think that him saying like, which I understand why he said it, but I think with the circumstance of the show, he's kind of the wrong. But like him telling her like, oh, you keep saying like, oh, you're getting the rose next week, or oh, you're number one, and he was like, that's not what I want to hear. I want to hear I love you. And it's like I feel like that was her way of saying I love you without saying it on TV, because she can't say it yet. Like unless she's gonna send the other two home, which she's not, she can't tell you she loves you. She'll like, I feel like he wasn't picking up on the social cues that like that was her way of saying I love you without saying it.
Yeah. And that's where I start to wonder is either one of two scenarios. Is Katie really not completely set yet on who she's going to pick? Or is she set on somebody else and that's why she's not saying I love you back? Because like if it was, I feel like if it was Greg in the end, like she almost certainly knew it, she would have said it. I love you, because at that point you're kind of at the point of no return.
Right.
And then also I'm wondering with Greg, what is he waiting for? The I love you, or for her to be like, it's you, let's leave the show. I'll tell the other guys they're going home.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And like obviously he storms off, like I said before, and then kind of storms off again when they finish their well, not really finish their conversation. And we all see the the part of the trailer that we've been seeing forever with her just like, I'm going home, I'm done, like why am I here? And I just thought like her conversation with Caitlyn was kind of interesting, because I felt like she pretty much was telling Caitlyn that like he is the one and that she wanted to choose him, but he left. But like I don't think she also is ready to say goodbye to the other guys, which is why she's not choosing him. So it was just very weird.
Well, this was
I don't
like a
know.
big that was kind of like a big moment where I was like, I don't know how to say this. Like, did she do something that may make who like whoever she picks when they look back, is that going to be something of concern? Like
Right.
sort of like when I hate to keep bringing Ben Higgins up,
No, but
but
that's
I
why
know
they, yeah,
Lauren could never get over that he said I
yeah,
love you to
yeah,
another person. Like would one like either Justin or Blake look back at this and be like it seems like I was just a second choice if
right,
she ends up going on to next week with the guys, like it's at a point of no return.
right. Yeah, I'm really curious because I would not, just the way that it ends, we had been seeing on social media that her season ended early.
Yeah.
But I've also seen there was like a Reddit or something that someone attended. So they filmed in After the Final Rose, which they haven't done in a year. Or no, sorry, that's a lie. They do that still. They
They just didn't do it
filmed.
for what Matt. Oh, they did it for Matt. They didn't do it for Tasha / Claire season.
Yeah, so they filmed it and a picture went viral and then it was quickly taken down of her and Caitlyn and Tasha, and she has an engagement ring on her finger. So there are rumors that like she did get engaged. But I don't know if it's gonna be like, I don't think it's gonna be like we've seen in the past because they're not showing any type of engagement in the trailer or even looking at rings. So
Yeah, they didn't show anything.
yeah, so I'm very
Well, I
curious if
mean,
she's,
that's a great way to edit it though, because you don't want people to know.
yeah.
And they didn't even show
So
that in the beginning of the season.
no. So I want to know, like, I wouldn't be surprised if she leaves and chases after Greg.
Yeah, she could. I don't know. I genuinely don't know what she's gonna do.
Yeah, I don't
Because
either.
it seems like she's at a point where she does want to leave.
Yeah.
But then you also have the two guys there, and I feel like she does have a great connection. I think it's one of two things. She either goes after Greg or she ends up with Blake.
Yeah,
Just
I
because I
agree.
just don't I don't see her with Justin,
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But I think it's one of those two things. I don't know.
Yeah.
It'll
No,
be
I agree.
very interesting to see.
I know, I really can't. I mean, in the beginning, for a while, I thought it was definitely Blake. But I think after this episode just made me question that. And now
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if because I mean, I really do think that she's in love with him in love with Greg
Yeah.
because of the way she acted. Like, if she wasn't so convinced it was him, then why would it be such a big ordeal?
Yeah. Well, at the same time, I asked myself, would she have just ended it right there? Or at least told him she loved him?
Right.
And that's where I don't know.
Yeah. So we'll see.
So I don't know. It's
I
gonna
don't
be
know.
exciting finale. I guess also I'm not a big fan that they record after the final rose beforehand and not live, because I
Well,
think
they
that
used to
should
be
be
live.
yeah. I just think it's something that should be live. I understood why they did it pre-taped for Matt's season, because that needed to be perfect.
Oh,
Everything
yeah,
said and done, that needed to be perfect, addressing everything. But you do it live. I mean, it could have to do with like quarantining, also Michelle's season kicking off.
yeah, maybe.
But I don't know. I'm excited for a finale. Finally get to see the end of Katie's season.
So is there time in between, or is next week the finale?
I think next week's the finale. It's a
Oh,
3-hour
okay.
finale on Monday night. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So I assume 2 hours and then a third hour for the After the Final Rose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that pretty much wraps it up here on After the Final Rose. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at ATFR_podcast, as well as on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and other podcast streaming platforms. Make sure to like us on there, so every time we post, you get notified and you can listen. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week, and we'll find out, does Katie go after Greg? Does she end up with Justin or Blake or nobody? So I'm excited.
Yeah.
So thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.